Welcome to the Dark Artisan podcast, which was live streamed on Twitch on the 17th of November. Tonight, I was joined by Craig and Thomas, two Patreons of the channel. Unfortunately, Twitch decided to mute the first couple of minutes of the audio, so apologies about this narration of the intro. We started the discussion by talking about the lack of Space Marine releases. Despite the Codex being out, we're still waiting for around about 8 different units, including the Gladiator and the Land Speeder, and of course the Heavy Intercessors and such as well. The reason that we believe this has happened is because Games Workshop is actually delivering at maximum capacity at the moment, and we start the audio by discussing late arrival of some of the new Marathi books and the Forge World Index. Up for pre-order in a 2-week window, right? Then how are they going to be able to deal with actually dispatching that? Because I've seen a lot of comments on Facebook
very true.
about even the Marathi book and the Forge World Index haven't turned up for people yet because GW are running at COVID secure capacity. They can't get stuff out fast enough.
Yeah,
that's very true.
My Forge World Index. Joys have been a Custodes player as well as much as anything. And I think mine came Monday. Yesterday was it? It was either Saturday or yesterday when it turned up. I can't remember now. I know I put it in our chat, but and that was released 2 weeks ago now.
That one was a bit of an odd one. It came out on the Friday, so I think like 9 days ago. It always throws me off because if I get something early, I forget that people don't get it for another week after me.
Oh no, it's short off, is it?
But Mark's actually just put in the chat on Twitch that the Marine stuff is rumoured 5th of December. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised because they do it every time they release a Blood Angel book. It comes out in December, and they release whatever is out at that point. It would make sense to release the rest of it along with the Blood Angel Codex. It also makes sense
to
release it.
Release.
Yeah, it also makes sense to release it then because GW aren't stupid. If they release stuff the weekend of payday, so like people get paid, if it's the 5th of December, people got paid the week before, they'll go and splash the money for Christmas and obviously payday.
Christmas time.
I mean, look at all that splurge of Necron stuff, right? They dropped that, I think it was the beginning of November, I think, or October. It was like right at the very beginning. It was like, by the way, he's like 6 new units. He's the Silent King. He's the Void Dragon. He's the Monolith. He's everything else.
Yeah.
When people got paid.
I mean, the thing is as well, though, I think what surprised me with these new battle forces as well was the fact that they didn't put any of the what do you call it, the Storm Speeder thing. I thought that might have been in there.
Nah,
because I think that would have been a nice way of releasing that. But I don't know. I just think I think they've had a lot of plans of how they wanted to do things. I think the way they announced the new edition was really good. The way they announced the Indominus box set was good. But I think the fact that everything's been thrown up into the air as badly and as much as what it has been, I think that's kind of knocked things back a little bit.
Absolutely.
On the hop.
I mean, the Sons of Behemoth only just came out like a month ago, and they should have been. They should have.
Was that April? April, wasn't it?
They were previewed
in April.
And the points were in the General's Handbook in June.
Yeah.
So they've definitely obviously had. I think their whole year of releases has literally been on the fly. But because they knew they were releasing 9th edition, they went ahead with that and delayed other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, you got a whole new edition to get out the way first before everything else is going to be on the back burner. That's the big one that you need to get out, isn't it?
Plus, let's face it as well. 40k is always going to be the main priority because of the fact that it is the biggest seller.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even when it was Age of Sigmar, 40k was still the biggest seller.
Yeah, absolutely. But the battle forces are odd, right? I mean, why is there another Tau one? Tau have had a Christmas box set every year for the last 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
And
so of Necron, apart from last year, not Necron, Tyrannid. I think last year was the only time. Was the first time in a while Tyranids hadn't had one.
Necrons had one last year because they had the one with it was a load of Wraith or Tomb Blades and like the Doomsday Ark in it.
Yes. I missed out on that one. I was gutted.
But the Battle Forces are a bit weird. Like there's nothing of great value in any of them. You just look at them and go, eh.
Yeah.
They're okay for somebody starting an army, but like there's nothing in it that is that useful.
No. That's what I was just going to hint at. I think the Battle Forces, the Christmas box sets, they're very much just geared towards kind of a little kid walking into a GW around Christmas and being like, "Oh wow," and getting that, and parents buying that for the kids. You know, anyone with a bit of it. I don't play most of them factions, but I can look at every Battle Force, and just be like, "Well, I know that unit's not really very good. You'd never buy that. You'd never take this."
Yeah.
So I think they're very much just got the models together, designed it for this is for the 10, 12-year-old kids that are just getting into it. Models before codexes, that kind of situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys can't see it, but you guys can't see, but I've got them up on screen now for the people watching live or on YouTube. The Space Marine box looks okay. So you've got the 4-boss captain, which he's a decent captain. You've got 10 infiltrators and 10 reavers. You've then got a what they're called,
Invictus
Warsuit, and the I can't remember the transport.
Impulsor,
yes, that's it. Mark says they're around 180 to £90, except the Chaos, which is 165. So people are thinking around about 120 to £130. They've been £100 all previous years, but obviously, you know, prices have gone up this year with GW's new releases, and you know, in general, their prices have gone up this year, which was a whole other conversation which we had in a different podcast. But yeah, like you said, though, Tom, I think they are definitely aimed more at the kids. The Necron one, the only thing that's new in there is the new warriors, which, let's face it, there's an absolute abundance of warriors, because you can get warriors, and I think a character, and then some assault intercessors and a lieutenant for £32.50, or a box of 30, or a box of warriors by themselves is £30.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
Yeah, that's the I think it's the recruit starter set. It's £32.50, and you get like 5 assault intercessors and a Space Marine lieutenant. Then you get like the Royal Warden and the 10 Necron warriors, and it's £32.50. So it's £2.50 more than 10 warriors.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah. So like, even if you sold the Space Marines for a tenner, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're still
£3, you've saved money, haven't you?
Exactly. But yeah, the Necron one, it's okay. You've got the Triax Stalker, you've got some Praetorians, some Immortals, the Cryptek with a cloak, and the Flyer. It's a little bit of everything. None of it is like nothing. There is great.
Out of all the box sets, the only one that I saw that I thought was actually quite good, because you'd use all them units building a little armies, the Chaos one. It's got like Havocs in it, Terminators in it. He's got Chaos Marines that are going to be 2 wounds at some point. So they've got all your basic stuff. I'm not sure what else is in it. I'm guessing a Lord or a Dark Apostle or something.
I'll have a
it's
look
all stuff
when
that
we
you'd
get
use.
that, but the Guard one's okay if you're starting Guard. You get the Command Squad, you get a Sentinel, a Chimera. I think you get 2 Guard squads, a Heavy Weapon squad, which, you know, most people do run them, and then a Hydra or a Wyvern, whichever one it is. But that's a multiple kit, so you can build 2 or 3 different variants out of that. I think the Guard one's okay if you're getting into Guard.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I think the thing is, I don't play Guard as well, but I don't know what Sentinels are they even any good. Like, you'd never, if I was a Guard player just looking from the outside, things like that, you'd probably run in freeze. Do you know what I mean? So,
but they are very, very cheap fast attack or heavy support slots for brigades.
Right. Okay. Right, yeah.
I'll be honest, yeah, I think Sentinels, but I think you're right in what you say. You wouldn't just run them as one. I must admit, I'm looking at the web page with them on as well, and I think as a guard player, I think I wouldn't buy that as an expansion for me for what I've got.
No,
because the way I look at it is it's a bit too haphazard.
Yeah.
I think if you're dipping your toes into the army, you think, oh yeah, I fancy a gold guard. It's an all right box, and I think that's the case with most of these. Tom, you mentioned the Chaos one. I'm looking at that now. You've got a box of the new Marines.
Yeah.
Good. You've got a box of Havocs. Yep. Great.
Brilliant.
Box of the new Terminators. Pretty cool.
Brilliant.
Mauler Fiend, which can be built as a Forge Fiend. Pretty clutch, especially if you're running Masters of Possessions.
Yeah.
But then you get the Hammer Lord from Blackstone Fortress.
Oh yeah.
And whilst he's not the best kitted out, he's very, very easy to convert, and he's a great looking model.
Yeah, he's a cool model, and the thing is, a Chaos Lord, everyone used to. Like most armies used to run like a cheap Lord, that just for the reroll ones, like aura and stuff like that. I know that's changed now in 9th edition a little bit. You can't do it with vehicles and stuff, but Chaos Lords sticking near your Havocs, there you go. There's your HQ choice. That's what I thought about the Chaos one. It's actually quite a good starting point for an army. If you bought that, you've got a really good base.
Yeah.
You'd use all their models, where some of the other ones are a little bit, would I really use this? Do I need this? Is this...
Yeah, I think the Guard one, and Mark agrees with me that you should have had a Lehman Russ in there. And I know Russes are done to death, right? But that is their iconic unit.
Yep.
Definitely. It's the staple of the Guard army, though, isn't it? Everyone just associates the Lehman Russ with the Guard. Apart from, I remember years ago, Space Wolves used to be able to take them.
2nd edition.
I can't remember what edition. Back in the day.
Wow, that's going back a while.
Yeah. And then the Tyranid one. Again, the Tyranid one. I'll move to the Tyranid one. So you've got Tyrant Guard, which no one uses ever.
I don't know. Well, the kit makes Hive Guard or Tyrant Guard, doesn't it? So you can run them as Hive Guard.
I can't remember. Does it?
Yeah, I'm sure. 100%.
I've never actually built any brand new, but if it's Hive Guard, then yeah, fair enough. Right? Yeah. They're a staple to most Tyranid lists.
Fantastic.
You have the Hive Tyrant there. It doesn't show you them with wings, but the kit does come with wings. Great.
Brilliant, yeah.
The Horror Specs, I think, can be built as an Exocrine. Good.
Yeah.
Quite a few Gene Stealers. Pretty good. Gargoyles.
Yeah, man.
Meh.
They just seem to throw them in all the boxes.
What was that,
Because
Craig?
they can't sell them.
They keep putting gargoyles in these sets.
Yeah. Because,
it's the only way they can shift them.
Yeah.
It's like that. You remember the mystery boxes that they did, and it was like, he's Khan, Mephiston, and like 2 other characters, some flagellants and some wolves.
Yeah.
Because they had a massive amount of stock, and they just got rid of them.
I mean, everyone in Australia got that massive knight, didn't they?
Yeah.
The Australian one.
So the Tau one, you're basically getting a Star Collecting box nearly. So you're getting your squad of warriors, you're getting your crisis team, but then you're getting a commander, a broadside, a piranha, and a pathfinder team. So the Tau one's okay, but the problem is they keep shoving crisis suits down your throat, and they just don't work in games, which is frustrating.
I'm not a Tau player, but I play quite a lot of Tau, and crisis suits have never done anything to my Eldar, really.
They were fantastic in 7th edition, and then they've just been terrible since. In addition to all those, I want to take a moment to talk about the Blood Angels Combat Patrol box. So, in the Blood Angel Combat Patrol box, you get an Impulsor. Cool. You get 3 Flamer Aggressors, which I'm going to guess are probably going to be the easy builds, right? which if they are, that's a bit frustrating, but never mind. You get 5 intercessors, just the normal ones, and 5 infiltrators or incursors, and then a librarian. Does anybody see the gaping problem with this for Blood Angels?
It doesn't have any combat units?
Pretty much.
I don't know.
Yeah, pretty
that
much.
That was my guess.
Like, why not put 5 assault intercessors in instead of the normal intercessors?
Yeah.
Or even instead of the incursors. Incursors and infiltrators are okay for Blood Angels, but they're not the best. No. But, like, why not assault intercessors?
Do you know, I was having something similar, like what you just said. So, a friend of mine, he sent me a photo the other day. It was his mate was thinking about Space Wolves, and it was the Primaris Space Wolves starter set, whatever it is. I'm guessing it's the one that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, no, it's not Space Wolves. And tell your friend to stop thinking about it like Primaris and stuff like that. Think about this now. Blood Claws are now going to have 2 wounds each. They've got, 4 attacks on a charge? 5? I can't remember. I'm not a Wolves player anymore. Let's say 4 attacks on a charge. And now the chainswords are -1 AP. Blood Claws, standard Marines for Space Wolves, like they're amazing now.
Mm-hmm.
That extra wound and that -1 AP on a unit of Blood Claws, and I'm sure you can run them in units of 15. That's a lot of attacks from base Marines. You don't want Primaris with bolt rifles or whatever stud in a Wolf's army, and you want combat stuff. And it's taking it back to the Blood Angels as well. You want to be up and in your face combat-y. I know you can run.
Normal intercessors for Blood Angels can still fight, right? They're still good at fighting.
Yeah.
But, like, why would you not give them a chainsword, man?
Yeah, of course.
Like, you get 1 shot with the heavy bolt pistol at 15 or 18 inches. I can't remember which one it is now. But, or 2 with your bolter. But you want to charge. You get the extra attack for shock assault. You're at -1 AP. You've got 4 attacks on the charge, 5 if you're on turn 3 because of the assault doctrine, and then they become -2.
Oh man!
Do you not think, though, in all fairness,
really strong.
a bit of cleverness from JW, by virtue of the fact that someone who's interested is going to buy that box, and then well, hang on a sec. Okay, there's no real combat thing, so let's buy some assault intercessors as well.
Yeah,
that's the reason behind it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is, Craig.
I would do that if I was GW.
Absolutely. It's theme in a box that's not, it's kind of half useful for beginners. And then when they start playing the game a bit more, it's like, maybe I should get that instead.
Yeah.
Like, a chaplain would have been better than the librarian. But, like, why stick the chaplain there when you could have them buy a chaplain in addition?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on...
It's a business.
Been on before. I think the last time I was on was the Indomitus drop. And I think I said the same sort of thing then as well. GW know people like us are going to buy bits and pieces, right? We're always going to buy stuff, regardless of whether we buy it from them or whether we buy it from a local stockist. That's that sort of thing. However, where's GW getting most of their money from? From new people in the hobby. So all the shops have been closed for a long, long time. You can't do intros now at the moment like the way you used to. So they're not getting people in. They're not getting their intro sessions done. They're potentially struggling to get new people into the hobby. So what's the easiest way of doing it? As Tom said before, let's give them a box set where they can get models, get loads of models sorted ready, and then buy codexes, and then hopefully once all this stuff's eased a bit more, we can actually get them into the store and actually buying things properly and looking at it from that perspective.
Yeah,
that's basically what they've done. But their main focus is always going to be new people in the hobby.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's like we all.
It is because once you're hooked, you're hooked.
But it's a business.
Like, they know we're going to buy because once you're hooked, you're addicted, aren't you? It's probably worse than heroin.
It is. We all call it plastic crack, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Some of it's resin, and
my crack of choice, shall we say, at the moment is old Dogs of War stuff, and that's that's quite pricey.
Yeah,
But I think that's a kind of old collector's kind of standpoint. I'm just building an AOS army though with a lot of Dogs of War stuff in it, and it's trying to find it and track it down and not break the bank and try and save up and buy a house and do other stuff, and also trying to find 10 models that aren't going to cost me 80 quid. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the UK, or rather England rather specifically, is back in lockdown. We're not allowed to obviously go and mix households, which is why my beautiful wife, who is sat right here, just off camera, has been playing 40k with me, even though she's not overly fussed on 40k. She's actually just started painting again for the first time since we moved. And I'll be honest, I'm starting to struggle with motivation to paint. I am painting a lot of Blood Angels still, which is because we've now got access to more stuff. But what are your guys' plans for the rest of lockdown? If it extends beyond the beginning of December, what hobby stuff are you going to get done? And what are you going to do to keep yourself motivated? Because me personally, I'm really struggling for motivation to paint.
Well, as you know, I'm working on a custom Custodes army. All mounted stuff and things like that.
Which is very cool.
My
Very
Loris. Cool. All of for some reason, the tails on the lines didn't work very well, so all of them are now going to be running with dock tails. And I also have Trajan on I think that's how you pronounce his name, isn't it?
Trajan Valoris.
Valoris on a Griffin.
Nice.
So he's going to be kind of my flagship, but it'll kind of double as a field captain on Dawn Eagle as well.
Right.
Working on them, and I have actually, and I know I'm going to get some stick for this, I have actually started painting Ultramarines.
Oh.
There is a reason for it. There is a reason for it, and I spoke to you about this the other day as well, Harry. Last week, me and my partner found out, obviously we knew we were having a little baby, and last week we found out what we were having. But we didn't find out what we were having until about 5:30, 6 o'clock that night, and I decided, I had a couple of models sitting around, and I just decided I'm going to sit and do some painting. Ironically started painting Ultramarines, and then that evening found out we're having a little boy. So call it divine intervention if you want, or stupidity, whichever, I don't know. But yeah, so I've started painting Ultramarines. I actually had, which I won in a raffle in one of the hobby stores I go to, the Calgar set, and actually came across that box and started painting him up.
Nice.
So, not the greatest camera in the world, but yes, that's what I'm working on. But as you see, I think motivation is the hard thing at the moment.
Like, it's really hard for me sitting here working for 9 hours, and then after I've been here for 9 hours, trying to sit here for another 3 or 4 and stream or edit or sit and paint. Like, that's really hard for me. So what you're saying, Craig, is get a new army.
Yeah.
That's not red. Yeah, good advice.
A new army that's not Blood Angels, mate.
I'm working on AOS, man. I'd kind of not fell out of love with 40k, but I still watch all the battle reports and what have you. But my interest fell a little bit with this new edition, only because a lot of we don't have proper codexes yet.
Yeah.
So we're playing with the 8th edition codexes and stuff like that. So at the moment, for me, it's just more like 8th edition 0.5. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of very samey.
Yeah, because
I play Eldar, and it's
the Space Marine Codex changes so much because it adds stuff to do in the command phase. The stratagems are very different. You've got the core rule mechanic, and none of the other armies other than Necrons have that.
Exactly, yeah. So I put my 40k on a back burner. I've got loads of Eldar stuff, I do want to get a Lynx at some point though now because they're amazing now with the new Forge World rules. But
Right.
that's another conversation. That's insane. They've dropped about 160 points in cost. They're 220 points now, like 16 wounds, 5 up invuln, standard like chassis. They can fly. The gun is like 6 shots, strength 9, -3, flat 3 damage, something like that. And at 220 points, they just outshoot like anything else now. In an Eldar list. Well, he's trying to get a Lynx. Forge World is out of stock, so that's one for the back burner. But I'm working on AOS. I'm doing quite a big cities army. Like I was just saying about Dogs of War, I spent quite a while tracking down Dogs of War stuff, so I've been stripping all that, and I've got it all lined up in front of me. I have to have models lined up, otherwise I'll never paint anything.
Yeah.
So I've got it all laid out, and I'm just doing a bit at a time. I'm not completing units. I'm just trying to just do an hour and a half every night if I can, just a little bit here. And as soon as I'm getting bored of something, I'm doing a bit of dwarves at the moment, but I mean I haven't worked on them for about 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll put them down, and I'm just trying to work my way through that. And then I want to build another army, another AOS army, a Slaves to Darkness army. But essentially, I want to make the Wildlings from Game of Thrones.
Nice.
I want a big Norska themed army. I've found some old. I've actually got the models, but it'll be they dug away. The models from Warhammer Fantasy. They're called Skin Wolves. But
I remember them.
You
Yeah.
can use them. You remember the Skin Wolves? Well, if you go, this is why I was asking about the Chaos rules the other day. Because if you just go the Chaos Allegiance, you can still run them. Well, friendly games anyway. I don't know how it quite works, but I won't be going to tournaments. But I can still run them. So Skin Wolves, loads of Marauders, converting some giants like Ice Giants and stuff like that, and all that kind of stuff. So
get yourself a Sons
I've got
of Bear
list.
Gargant in there.
Do you know what? I was genuinely looking at something earlier. The Kings of War do like a Frost Giant, and it looks amazing. It's like 40 quid.
Yeah.
I was like, do you know what? I could get one of them, run it in the army and stuff like that. Now I found a photo of it, and it's the same size as the Mega Gargants.
Mantic also
it's absolutely
one.
Huge.
Mantic
yes,
it's
yeah, that one's also massive, I believe. It's about 40-50 quid as well.
Yep.
I was going to buy them, and I was like, well, I can't run them as basic Gargants now, but yeah. So that's my plans. Work on the cities army, and then try and build a Norska themed Slaves to Darkness army. I just like making stuff that people don't see very often, really. And then I'll probably get it on the table once or twice, and it'll go in a box. It's how it seems to happen with me.
Yeah, and I mean, especially at the minute when you know people can't really get out there and game in England at the minute. Like I know Grant, for example, he went to the Scottish Takeover at the weekend because people that far up in Scotland are still allowed to mix.
Yeah, same here. Like I'm in Scotland, and it's same rules. We can go around each other's houses, I think. You're allowed to mix. You're just not allowed to mix indoors. I think is that the rules at the moment.
Right.
But we're not in lockdown though, so all the parks are open. Like the pubs are still open till or after 6 o'clock with a meal. I don't go to the pub, so I don't really know.
I know.
But it's weird. But I work in England though, so I travel across the border every day, and then I get into England and everything's shut, and it's strange.
Yeah,
that's just England in general.
But yeah, it's frustrating. Like we can't even go and see our parents properly. Do you know what I mean? And like we're 2 weeks in now. We've got 2 more weeks to go, and I just think
it's not going to change, is it?
I pray to God for Christmas that it does. I think maybe it's another 2 weeks, and I hope that it doesn't, because like it's not good for people's mental health to be essentially locked away.
Yeah.
No matter. 100%. 100% agree with that.
Even if you're a strong-willed person, like, don't go to the shops unless you need food. Like, how many people just go and window shop or just go shopping to do something? I mean, me and Lucy, we used to go to the cinema probably twice a week, at least once a week. When the cinema reopened, we got to see X-Men: New Mutants, Bill and Ted. Did we see a third one? Or was that it?
No, that was it.
We saw 2 films because there was nothing else getting released, and then the cinema shut.
Yeah, of course.
We've been to cinema twice since March, and like that was our thing. That's what we do.
Yeah. That's it. When you take away people's, you don't really realize it. What everyone's different, but what your kind of clutch, you know what I mean? What you hold on to, and you might not realize that's what it is, but until it's taken away, then all of a sudden you can't do that. Like I say, just that once or twice a week, just getting out, and it's bad. I don't want a lockdown to continue.
Like
I hope there's other ways around it for other people, because I know some struggle more than others, but it's just not good for anyone. It really isn't.
Like, we don't go to the pub anyway, so like we don't feel like we're missing out anything on that. Like, that doesn't bother us.
Yeah.
But the fact that like we've got a number of like other friends who, like, non-Warhammer friends and stuff, who are our age, who don't have children or do have children, and we would go around, you know, and you have a coffee or a drink, or sometimes you stay over, you play video games, Cards Against Humanity, stuff like that. We can't do that. And it's to the point now. Like, who'd have thought back in March we'd still be here 8 months later?
Yep. I mean, for me, it's been quite hard as well. I mean, I'm training as a secondary school teacher.
Oh yeah, how's your placement going, Craig?
Yeah, exactly. I was due to start my placement the second week in October, and that was just on the Monday, and on the Friday before I got a phone call saying that the placement was cancelled. There's 32 of us in our course, and 19 people have got placements, and that's it. So in essence, I am literally sitting with nothing to do. I've done like knowledge enhancement courses and stuff like that off my own back and things, but yeah, I mean, there's that. I mean, I compete in archery quite regularly as well, and I've had one competition this year over in France back in January. Since then, nothing. You know, not being able to do anything, and it's just, I mean, kind of lucky in the fact that we did have a bit of focus anyway, because me and my other half, Carly, we moved into this house 2 weeks before the lockdown back in March, and we spent the entire time getting on first name terms with all the delivery drivers and getting the whole house sorted and decorated.
We're kind of like that as well. me and Lucy got incredibly lucky, right? We managed to actually go ahead with our original wedding date with 30 guests, right? 3 days before they reduced the figure to 15 guests. And 3 weeks before the wedding, we moved into our new house.
Yeah.
And because our parents could help us, obviously because we could mix, was the only reason we got in.
Yeah.
So we've been very, very fortunate in that respect. But it's hard.
I think from talking to Carly and stuff like that, we both kind of think that regardless of whether this lockdown's happening is actually active in come Christmas or not, I don't think people will take any notice of it anyway.
Of course they won't.
No, 100%, not a chance.
Yeah, you know, I think that's just the way that it is, unfortunately. But
without
I think
making the podcast too political, I think
to kind of help each other out, haven't we? In all honesty, I mean, in another Patreon chat on Facebook, we've all kind of kept each other going and stuff like that as best we can.
Yeah, I mean, Ian started a grot army. So Ian's painted up an entire...
armies Ian hasn't started.
Yeah, man.
Genuinely, right, he's almost caught up to me with number of armies. I've been going 6 years, he's been going 3. So...
In all fairness, he can work out a 10,000 point army in about 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not even funny. But yeah, for me, like I said, I'm really struggling with painting Blood Angels. But I'm at the point, right, because I haven't unpacked my Blood Angels since I moved, right? Other than 2 boxes, which I said, right, I'm probably going to use that stuff. I'll keep it to hand. I want to unpack my Blood Angels and do a full army overview, but I don't want to get it all out for new stuff to come out next week, and then essentially it's not an up-to-date army overview. So that's why I'm desperately trying to paint through the rest of the Blood Angels to get them done.
Yeah.
But for me, my bits of motivation, I've kind of tried to jump to like a few of the different models and stuff as we've gone. For example, I painted 10 Orc Boys for Lucy, and it was just a nice little change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was doing to keep myself going, to keep myself interested in painting. Really, mine's it's not the motivation. I'm quite a motivated guy to get up and do things, but it's the interest. I've got to keep myself kind of excited.
Mm-hmm.
So I was switching stuff up. I was painting random models and stuff like that. Like I started painting the old what's he called? Voltan model from you can't really see it very well. From Warhammer Fantasy. I thought I could probably use him as something. And I've just been also buying random models, just a tenner here, like £8 there. Stuff that I've never done before, but I've started buying models to paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the first time in my life I've actually been doing that. I was like, actually, that looks really cool. And I've been getting little bits and bobs and been painting them. And I found breaking it up and sort of giving myself a little random model or doing a bit different is what's kept me going, because I think there's nothing worse than just thinking, I've still got 100 Marines to paint. Now I've got 98 Marines to paint. I've got 92 Marines to paint. Do you know what I mean? I think it's
that was me in March when I started the Blood Angels. That was me in March when I started that. I painted 40 mini Marines. I think I did like 30 or 40 Primaris Marines. I did like 20 Scouts, 20 or 30 Terminators.
Yeah, man.
And I painted the entire Black Legion army, and I've still never used them.
So have you not?
I was suffering a bit of burnout from painting earlier on in the year. Like, I mean, you know how many armies I knocked out in the first lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just been absolutely crazy. But I think what kind of got me back on track in terms of painting was that Custodes army.
Yeah,
because it was something so different. You know, full conversions and things like that, and it made a massive difference. And that kind of got me back on track a little bit in terms of painting.
Yeah, so I managed to get Lucy back into painting by actually airbrushing me Sons of Behemat model, 2 of them, because I painted one. That's another thing as well, right? That frustrated me, right, in one respect, but I'm grateful for it at the same time, is the absolute release train that GW have been on the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So they sent me a lot of stuff to review, right? Which, again, I'm very grateful for. But my God, it just wipes your schedule. It's just like, drop everything and focus on that. So we had the Space Marine and Necron book. So I work on a battle report for each of those. We had the Sons of Behemat book and the model, and I basically had to wipe my schedule for that week to paint and build that Gargant, and then of course film the game. We've just had the Marathi book. We had the Death Watch and Space Wolf book, which actually, and the Forge World Index, which didn't turn up until 8 o'clock on the Saturday morning, when I was supposed to have videos out at 10. And then there was something else. The Warcry stuff came out, and I was just like, when the Centre's Warcry, and I said, look, I'm really grateful for this. I don't have time to build the set, to learn how to play it, and film a game. Yeah. Especially when there's only me and Lucy, and Lucy can play Sigmar. She can get away with 40k with her orcs. It's already hard enough for her to swap between them 2 systems, let alone another one. And especially when you're trying to review something that you don't have any interest in.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
difficult.
can imagine
So
that's...
I literally just did an unboxing and went, right, it's going to one of the Patreons. And that's what I did. And I was kind of relieved that week because I was like, you know what? I can breathe again. And whilst I'm doing that, I can't do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating. So my Gargants have literally sat on my shelf, primed grey, for like 3 weeks. And
right.
when I finally did the flesh tutorial the other day, and Lucy was like, I might paint. I was like, what do you want to paint? And she just went, Gargants. I was like, right, there you go, do it. Do it. If you want to do it, do it. So she's been painting all the tabards and the metal and the ropes and everything on this guy. So I'm expecting to have a second Gargant done, probably by the end of the weekend, I reckon. Because she's done like an hour or two every day.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think...
It'll be cool. Have you got 3? Have you got all 3 of them? Have you got 2 of them?
I've got 3 because GW sent me 1 and then I bought 2. So I've got 3 and then I've got 3 man crushers. So I can run a 2,000 point army with them then. And all 3 of them are magnetized. So I can run them how I want.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Awesome.
But like, I've got a Primaris Tech Marine here and I've got the Chaplain on bike, right? And I'm looking at them and just like, I don't want to paint you. Don't want to paint you. Don't want to paint you. And it's like, I need to do something different and then come back to them. Like this Dreadnought's okay. I can do a Dreadnought, blindfolded nearly now. They're quite basic, but I've got a Finecast Tech Marine Gunner here that goes with the Thunderfire Cannon. And like, I'm battling to get him done. And it's just like, not enjoying it. So I think when I've done me Dreadnought, I need to paint something fun for me. And if I'm honest, me and Lucy's been on a little bit of an EOS binge. Like, we've quite enjoyed doing a few bits and pieces. So I magnetised the Morghasts for her last week. And I glued together and based Catacross for her, which is in a battle report, which you two guys, if you haven't seen it yet, you need to go and watch it. It'll be available.
Is it on YouTube or is it in the...
it's on Patreon.
Is it up yet?
It's on Patreon and YouTube members now. I will resend you the link, Tom. But it will be out tonight. It will be out on Saturday. But my God, that was such a fun game, and like we've got quite a lot of like little bits and pieces for EOS that we both want to get done. So like, I've half painted some Colonel Hunters for Lucy. She wants them done. I'll finish them. I've got some Atlantis miniatures female ogres here that one of our friends Stu very kindly gave us. So I'm going to paint a couple of ogres up just to put them out with, they can batter the husbands as they run across the table to feed them.
That's cool. That's cool.
I want to paint, I've got 6 Gorgrunters for my orcs, which I wouldn't mind finishing off. From the Orc War Clans Iron Jaws. And then we've got some Daughters of Cain stuff. So we've got the not Warcry, Shadespire Warband, which has got some pretty cool models in. And then, of course, we've just picked up Shadow and Pain, so the Iron Scale and some more snakes wouldn't go amiss. So I think we're going to spend 2 or 3 weeks probably jumping between a few of those bits and pieces. And I think refreshing my inspiration by doing something that is vastly different to Space Marines. Because let's face it, if you paint an Eldar, it's still Space Marines, really.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's fighting talk.
You know what I mean? It's armor, it's sci-fi. The Age of Sigmar models are amazing. They are so nice. And I've got tons of Eldar to paint, but I've just got no. Yeah.
Well, I was saying earlier, I'm motivated. Yeah, I'm motivated, but I don't want to paint them. I just don't want to paint them. I've got enough painted models, so if I wanted to have any games, I can go play wherever. I've got about 3,500 points worth of models. I know that's minuscule to a lot of people, but it gives me a really nice selection. But the rest of the stuff, and I got some cool models, I just don't want to paint it. I just really don't.
Yeah.
So I'm painting AOS stuff, and I'm switching it up, and then That was the whole thing with the Norska theme stuff as well, because I know I'm going to get bored of this cities stuff at some point, even though there's a lot of different models and units and stuff like that, and it is interesting. I'm going to have to switch it up. So I'm going to. Actually, do you know what I bought the other day? I completely forgot about it. Is the Changeling? I thought that's a cool model. I'm going to paint that. So
Yeah.
that's sat in a box around me somewhere. I'm going to paint that up at some point.
Yeah, and I think that's why Lucy's so into the Gargant as well, because like she's only painted a couple of like big things. Like she did me two Dankhold Troggoths for me Gloomspite army, and I think the only big model that she's really painted is Nagash, which she's done an amazing job of, but she's been on at me for ages. I bought this back in March, right? This is a Great Unclean one converted into a Troll Hag. So you can see there, I put the mushrooms on her belly to cover the gash. I put a troll head in instead of the Great and Clean one, then all the mushrooms and squigs. So she's been on it, like he's been converted for months, but then obviously we moved house and stuff, and she was like, I want to paint that. So I've sprayed it, and then she's like, no, I'm going to do the Gargant. Fine, do the Gargant. I'm happy with the Gargant. Please do the Gargant. But... yeah, I think finding some cool models to paint is probably, a pretty good shout. I mean, there's loads and loads of cool models that are sort of less than 25 quid new anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I've just painted two actually, James R models. So this one's mine, but I painted one for Owen for the Patreon draw.
Yeah, I saw that. That was really, really cool.
I enjoyed painting that because it was different. It was something a little bit different to the Blood Angels, and something else I'm looking forward to painting. I've brought these as a commission, Triumvirate, which obviously I've already done my own, but they are a commission for Jordan, and I'm looking forward to painting them. So that's going to be a little bit of inspiration because it's something completely different. Completely different.
See, I got them, and then because I wanted to paint them, and then they turned up. They was already built. I got them off eBay, and they turned up, and I was just like, I don't think I want to paint these anymore. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I didn't use an airbrush at the time or anything.
Yeah.
I was like, it's going to take far too much time. I'm going to have to dedicate 20, 30 hours into this model. I don't have the time to do that, or I'm going to have to dry brush it and do it quick and cheap, and I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off. But luckily, Terry bought my Harlequin army off me. Or we traded it, I can't remember. I think he bought most of it. So yeah, Terry's got it now. So I wonder if he's actually painted it. I don't know.
I painted my Incarn.
So I never went.
Just before I learned how to airbrush, actually. So I didn't airbrush mine either.
Oh man, did you not?
Nope. Do you know what?
Are you going to airbrush that one?
Yes. Yes. Probably. I need to double check what colours Jordan wants them doing it. But no, I'm pretty happy with my Incarn. I think I did a decent job on him. Some really cool models actually that people might enjoy painting. Let's throw that out there. So I think the new Fabius Bio model, I fancied painting that, to be honest.
Want to paint mine?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I think.
Years probably built though.
You what? That's fine. I genuinely think he's a cool model. He's interesting.
Yeah.
He's a little bit
really
different.
Cool model.
I think if anybody hasn't painted a Baden, like he's such a cool model to paint. Obviously, he's a bit more expensive. I think he's about 35 quid, but Baden is a fantastic model. I think Mephiston. I know I'm being a bit biased as a Blood Angel player, but I think Mephiston's a fantastic model. I think some of the other Primaris stuff maybe is not. Like, I don't think Khan's great. I don't think Shrike's great. They're okay, but they're not like, they're not different. I think Gazgul is again another fantastic one to paint up. Shadow Sun.
Oh, can I just touch on Gazgul for a second?
Yeah.
I saw something like, it was absolutely hilarious. It was in a selling group, and I went on eBay. It's only about 2 weeks ago, and people were buying like Gazgul for like 80, 90 quid. It was like it was selling on eBay, and then just out of it's because I don't know why everyone wanted them, and there was loads of them, absolutely loads, like bids of 70, 80, sold for £96 and stuff like that. Some guy was trying to sell him by himself like 80 quid on a selling group, and he was getting loads of crap for it. And then I looked earlier, and he must have been released because you can buy him like in a box, like 37 quid or something like that now. And it just made me laugh. All them people 2 weeks ago that had just dropped 100 quid on a Gazgul Fracker model. And 2 weeks later, there he is.
Yeah, because he wasn't available separately. I think they released him the same time as Ragnar, didn't they, with the Space Wolf stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, did I.
So, yeah, fantastic. Sorry, it made me laugh. What people do, you know.
Yeah. Belisarius Call is a fantastic model to paint as well. Very, very fiddly to build, but a fantastic model to paint. Illuminor Seraz, I think he's very fiddly, but again, a very nice Necro model to paint. These are all actually quite new models that I'm shouting out here as well.
Yeah.
I think...
I'd quite like to paint that Inquisitor in the Harlequin. I don't know what they're called.
It's a Sister Battle in the Harlequin, and then the Inquisitor was separate.
And that was it, yeah.
Yeah, but Lucy painted mine. I let her paint them three because they were all like totally different. But yeah, the Inquisitor.
They look quite fun.
Draxis or Dryaxis or something.
Yeah. He's got like a little dragon.
Yeah.
Or she's got like a little dragon, whatever.
Yeah. They're all pretty cool models.
Agaton as well.
Ajax Agaton's a good shout actually because I think he's pretty cool.
Like the scales in his cloak.
Yeah. Yeah. AOS wise, I think AOS has some of the best like large scale models. Now, I wouldn't say obviously go and shout this kind of money for a painting project model unless you want to, but like Alariel is beautiful. I've done 2 Alariels. I did Lucy's and I did one as a commission. Beautiful model. Beautiful.
I mean, Archeon, that looks like such a cool model to paint.
Yes.
I'd love to paint one, but for me to paint Archeon or something like that, I'd probably have to drop all projects and work on it non-stop for a month, just bit by bit. It's just one of them. Such a huge model.
Lucy
so cool.
got me for Christmas 2 years ago, I think. Or maybe it's last year. No. Yeah, it must have been Christmas 2 years ago now, so it would have been Christmas 18. And I didn't start painting them until halfway through 2019, right? And I had them in about 20 sub-assemblies. But I took my time with it. I only did it when I was in the mood to really, really concentrate on painting it. Like, I did all the 3 heads separately. I had the wings separate. Archeon's throne was separate. I had Archeon. I had the shield separate. I had his cloak separate. I had his sword separate. And I put about 40 or 50 hours into Archeon. And
it deserves that
model. It's a stunning model. It really is.
I've got one here, but I've just never getting around to doing it. I mean, I really want to start. I really want to do a bit more AOS stuff because I'm sickening myself off with the amount of 40k stuff that I've done this year.
Yeah.
With the exception, obviously, I did that Orc Army at the beginning of the year as well. But yeah, it's just going back to what we were saying before. It's the motivation for the painting side of things. And there's only so much Space Marine army you can paint.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, there is so many cool AOS models. I mean, Marathi. It's a double model kit essentially, but like fantastic. Like, I thoroughly enjoy painting Marathi. I'm just gonna have a look on the shelves actually what we've got. The Star Drake, if you're into Stormcast, is pretty nice. I mean, it is an old sculpt now. It's about 6 or 7 year old, but it's still pretty nice. You've got the Warboss on Maw-Crusher.
I love that model.
It's absolutely so cool. We're just saying, Tom, the Warboss on Maw-Crusher for the Auric War clans.
Yeah, that's
the Orc on Cabbage.
It's like a big.
I love
that was it. It was a cabbage.
Awesome model.
Yeah, fantastic model.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Stonehorns, if you're into them, are really cool.
You know,
Squigs.
even a lot of the just basic AOS models, you know, like the infantry and stuff like that. They're like, is it the Iron Jaws, the big orcs? I think they look really cool. I'd love to paint some of them. The trolls, all the different trolls now. They I quite
The
like the
new
trolls.
Rockgut trolls are really nice, and you know what? All of the Gloomspite Git range is fantastic because most of their models are brand new.
Yeah. So it looks good. A lot of stuff there to paint.
When the Gloomspite stuff came out, right, I would buy everything that came out that week, and I enjoyed painting them so much that by the time I went to Battle Bunker to pick my next order up the week after, I'd painted everything from the previous week. Including the actual shrine. I painted that. The only thing that I didn't paint straight away was the box of the 5 characters that you get, because I think I burnt myself out on them straight away, and they were very, very detailed. But that's it. Mark says the Tree Lord was so much fun. Tree Lords are really cool. On that note as well, Drycha Hammerdreth is a very cool model.
Yeah.
There's loads of like really cool mid-sized models. I mean, even Zombie Dragons and Terrorgeists, they're an older kit now, but so cool.
Yeah, I love the Terrorgeists.
Well, but I need to get some more Wraithbone spray, and then my plan with that is just to get them as bright and colourful as I possibly can.
What was that for, Craig? Sorry.
Lizardmen.
Oh yeah.
Loads of contrast paints, but the bright, colourful contrast paints. And stuff
I think Lizardmen done with contrast is perfect because they are because of the scales and the creases and stuff. Contrast is perfect to do Lizardmen.
Definitely. I just need to get some more Wraithbone spray.
Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, there is absolutely tons of models, and if you're thinking about like large pieces like that, obviously don't be frightened to go back to 40k. Typhus and Magnus are fantastic models.
What Mortarion as well.
Mortarion,
that's who I meant. Yeah, Mortarion, not Typhus.
Typhus is still a nice model to paint.
Yeah, he is. I think a lot of the really big stuff in 40k is a little, I don't want to say dated, but it doesn't feel as nice as what the bigger AOS stuff is. Like, obviously I've got several knights, and I don't feel like I enjoyed painting them as much as I did the big stuff for Age of Sigmar.
Yeah. I must admit,
that
my favourite model this year has been getting him done.
Great and Clean one.
Yeah. To be fair, I think I got him done in about 3 hours.
I know, because Justin commented on your post and like, what? Hang on, I only sent that out yesterday. How's it done?
A lot of washes, again contrast paints, but yeah, that was so much fun to paint. It really was. But I think
mine was
I think the big, like the knights and stuff like that. I mean, I put out a knight army the beginning of the year as well. It's all well and good, but it's much of the same. I mean, I've got 2 Warlord Titans, you know, and it's again, it's very, very much the same sort of thing. I've got another one half built in the garage, you know, and it's armor.
Yeah.
I was like, mine was the Scythed Hyrule, like the Forge World model.
Yeah.
For Tyranids. Yeah. Painted that. I spent about 20-25 hours on that. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. I was proud of it as well, because afterwards a lot of people was asking if I airbrushed it. I was like, no, it was dry brushing. It was like red and blue and like a bone color for like all the chitin, like the armor and stuff. It was really, really fun. And then I spent about 5 hours making a scenic base for it. The idea that it was crashing through like this snowy sort of like wasteland, this snowy, like angelic scene, and then this big bug comes charging through the trees at you. And yeah, I absolutely love that. A lot of the Forge World stuff is really good. If Forge World, if you can afford to go buy some of the bits and bobs and do it, but they've got some really cool models, and I think a lot of the Forge World stuff, because it's older sculpts, it's a bit more realistic. It's a bit more it looks different to like the modern sort of sculpts from GW.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to like.
The Tyranid Forge World stuff
less
is based on like the
yeah.
4th or 3rd edition stuff, isn't it, rather than like the current edition?
Yeah, it's very alien-y, sort of, it's meant to be kind of realistic. I don't want to say cartoony, but the Forge World, it's almost like it's made for adults, and some of the GW stuff's made for kids, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But just not just for Tyranids.
DC.
Yeah, a good analogy. But yeah, it's all the ranges. Forge World stuff. There's a lot of like just looking at some of like the tanks on there and stuff like that. Like not the Space Marine ones, but some of like the old guard tanks. A lot of
yeah.
Is it the Malachor defenders, or like I think they're called Malachors or something like that. And then there's the Gorgon like armored assault vehicle as well. I'm sure that's what it's called. But I love them. I don't play guard, but I just love their models. If I had 200 or 300 quid to just drop on a couple of tanks, I would, because they're so cool.
Yeah.
Reminds me of almost kind of like D-Day landing kind of like stuff, like Second World War. Like it's Forge World. It's like they tried to make things a little bit more realistic, and then GW obviously they're completely different sculpts and stuff like that. We're gonna give this stuff to kids. Kids don't have £200 to spend on a tank.
I must admit, like the Malgadorn Furnaces was a nice tank to paint from them. And I tell you what,
that's the one with the huge, the big flamer in it. It's just like a massive flamethrower tank. Yeah.
The exhibit on the back.
And, back in 7th edition, you used to use the 18-inch Hellstorm Flamer template, which was horrendous. And it was like poisoned. It wounded everything on a 3, and it was AP 3, which basically meant if you had a 3-up armor or worse, you got no armor save.
Yeah. It's melted.
Like you found out how brutal it was in even in 9th edition.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, we've been chatting for about an hour now, guys. So we're going to finish off with a final question, or two. If money was no question and someone could just go to you, you can have this model. Which model would you choose as, I'm going to spend 40, 50, 60 hours on this model and do my absolute best paintwork? Who would you choose? Let's start with Craig.
I don't know. Kind of a hard one, that, in all fairness, because obviously I'm going through a lot of different projects at the moment anyway. Oh, God. Go to Tom and I'll come back.
How are you then, Tom?
Right, okay. I know this off the top of my head just because I've always wanted one. I'll never own one. But you might not even have seen it, Harry. If you remember, I showed you like the old Forge World big giant dragon, like the Red Drake Dragon or something it was called. Well, they did a 2-headed Chaos one as well.
Right.
Google, if you Google it, it's probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 times the size of that corn dragon. What's out at the moment? But if you Google Chaos, have you found it? Have you pulled it up, all right?
No, Chaos.
You'll see the model that I mean. So Forge World Chaos Dragon, 2-headed dragon. It's a very old model, 20 years old maybe. It's huge. I mean, people sell them, but for a real one, you're probably looking at £1,000, £1,500. If you don't find it, I'll send you a photo of it later. But there'll be people out there that'll know what I'm on about. It's a very old model, probably in the 90s maybe even, and it was huge. It was
just bringing up that corn dragon mostly.
No, yeah, but there'll be some people either on Twitch or listeners that watch this that'll remember this, and it's massive. It's probably the biggest thing like they've ever done. I mean, I don't want to say it's that big, but we're talking sort of Warlord Titan-sized dragon here, and it's massive, and it is a cool model. And they did that, and then they just did a massive fire dragon as well, one of them. But like I say, you can look on eBay and you can find them for about 500-600 quid, and you can tell straight away that's a recast of it as well. So to find an original one from Forge World that you could paint, a lot of money. But anyway, we wasn't talking about money. That's what I paint, and I'd spend the rest of my life painting it. Everyone could have my Warhammer. You can just have it all now. I've got that dragon. I'll just paint that. In the next 10 years, I'll just paint that bit by bit and just leave it on a shelf somewhere. I'll be done.
Yeah.
That'll be me.
I think, to be fair, obviously, I've got 2.5 Warlord tanks because them still been sorted. But the model I've always wanted to paint would be Smaug.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
Good
love
choice.
that model. And yeah, okay, there's not a great deal of variations in colours and stuff like that, but I just think the look of it, the design of it, the style of it. I mean, yeah, it's a massive model, but I just think, yeah, that for me that would be the big thing. Either that or actually get Archeon finished. But yeah, like I say, I mean, Smaug is just an absolutely awesome model. I mean, let's face it, he's not exactly cheap. I think it's like 350 quid, give or take, isn't he? Something like that.
Yeah,
but yeah, so. to be able to sit and paint that would just be absolutely awesome. I already know in my head how I would actually do it as well. I would actually have to learn how to use my airbrush properly.
I've got one of two, because obviously I've already painted quite a lot of like larger models anyway. I've got two, and they're both quite different in what they look like. The first one would be an Arcanaut Ironclad for the Sky Dwarfs.
Yeah,
cool. I just think that's like there's so much like brass and weathering, and you could do so much chipping, and do you know what I mean? Like I have like the Nylak oxide on all the copper pieces, and you could have like painting like a stripe down the side of the ship, but like have it all chipped off, and I think that would be really, really cool. Like all the tarnished, like use lots of like purples and red washes and stuff on all the metals as well. I think that would be quite cool. Either that or an Eidolon from the Idoneth Deepkin, the guy with the sea cloak.
Yeah.
All right. I was about to ask, was that the big turtle?
The Leviathan. The Leviathan's cool, but honestly, I don't like the top half of the Leviathan, like the cockpit with the elves in. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
So I think definitely the guy with the actual sea cloak. I would
know which model you're on about now.
Oh, Mark's found that dragon. It's called a Chaos Emperor dragon.
There we go.
Here we go. I'll stick it up on screen now. And that's Angarath next to him. That thing is giant, and it looks like it's actually being split between his neck.
It's cool, man. It's a cool model, isn't it?
That's really cool, man.
See what I mean? Like I said, like Warlord Titan or whatever kind of size. It's huge. Emperor Titan, whatever the man. It's just such a cool. I don't even know if it ever had rules. That thing probably came out when I was about 10. I don't know if there was rules for it or what. I've never seen one apart from on the internet. So
yeah.
Cheers, Mark.
The instructions for it look classic Forge World like.
Make no sense.
One page.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Right, well, that is it from us, folks. Thank you very much indeed for listening. Thank you, of course, to Craig and Thomas for joining me today. I appreciate your words of wisdom and inspiration.
No worries, mate. It's always good talking to you.
Guys, if you are watching this on YouTube or you're listening to the podcast, be sure to go and follow us on Twitch. We do hobby streams 3 nights a week over on Twitch. And there's plenty of people always in chat and sharing things as well. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. And if you would like to take part in the podcast or support the channel, you can become a YouTube member or a Patreon as well. But until next time, guys, thank you very much for listening. Thank you to these two for joining me.
Cheers for having us, man.
Cheers, buddy.
We'll see you again very soon.
See you later.